Welcome to the every all-encompassing Match Madness, and this is a show that focuses all on the world of professional wrestling. The other show I do every week is on fitness. I don't do it live, but it's pre-recorded, and thinking about doing a live format for that show. We'll have to see down the line. And as I adjust my microphone here, I just want to also let you guys know that that we are now back on Skype. So those of you who needed to call in via Skype, or that was your only means of communication to the show, you can now do so. I was able to connect on this show via Skype, and hopefully you guys hear me better, clearer. And if you'd like to connect to me, you can do so. You can also friend me on Skype. Matt's Madness is the name. Or you can call in if you want to. It's 646-787-8297. And then once you do, you got to press 1 so that I know that you want to talk about wrestling or really whatever the heck else is on your mind within reason. Try to keep this PG show. Trust me, there are times when I have to filter myself because there are times when I feel very passionately about a certain subject, and it becomes very difficult to remain PG, but I do my best, and I don't have this marked as an explicit podcast, so please keep that in mind for those kids and those young kids out there, all those Roman Reigns fans out there. Keep that in mind for them. And again, if you haven't followed me yet, please do so on Twitter at Matt's Madness. Go to iTunes, rate and subscribe. That really, really helps out the show. You can also go to mattsmadness.com, where you can find all of my sponsors and help support them, which helps support me. And it doesn't cost you anything extra if you do any shopping on Amazon, on Inside the Cellar, on Pro Wrestling Tees. Yeah, Matt's Madness has its own t-shirt, believe it or not. You can do so all on that website, mattsmadness.com. Click on support the show. And yes, I know, I have been saying that I am going to be improving my website. That is forthcoming. It's not exactly cheap to do. I'm not the best guy when it comes to actually programming and script writing and HTML and JavaScript and all that nonsense. I don't understand that well. I'm more of a mobile tech guy as per what today's society is trending towards anyway. So with all that said, you can also find me on Fiverr, Fiverr.com, where you can get your advertisement on this show. And you're like, hey, how do I do that? Go to my Twitter profile. The link is right at the top of my profile in my description. It's right there. You can get your advertisement on this show, and you can get yourself out there to the masses, and I'd love to help you out. And a ton of other gigs on there. I just added a bunch of gigs. If you'd like to help me help you lose weight, I can give you my actual fitness and diet plan that I use to lose 50 pounds. I've got a before and after picture to prove it. I've got other gigs on there as well. Interesting ones, odd ones. But hey, it's kind of trial and error. It's a great site. If you are interested in trying it, look, they're not paying me to say this, but Fiverr is a great platform if you're looking to start a business or you think you have a skill you can offer to other people. It's a great place to do it. So, with all that out of the way, as always, this is all about Monday Night Raw. And boy, I'll say this. I really thought that, coming off of Raw, after watching it, my initial reaction was it was one of the worst Raws I've ever seen in my life. That was my initial gut reaction coming off of the show. And, oh, by the way, hope everyone had a great 4th. And now we're in the midsummer, guys. It is midsummer, and we're all feeling it. It's hot almost everywhere now. So get by a pool, get a cold drink, and relax. Because everybody that's complaining about the heat right now are going to be the same people complaining about how cold it is in 2 months if you live, north of Virginia in the United States. Nonetheless, as I said, I think Raw was... Initially, I thought it was one of the worst Raws I'd seen in years. And after having time to digest it, hear other people's opinions, and really look it over with a critical eye rather than just kind of like for what it is, it was a holiday show. Okay, this was expected to be a throwaway show, and for the most part it was. Was it the worst Raw I've ever seen in my life? No, it was not the worst Raw I've ever seen in my life. But I wouldn't put it in Raw's top 10 DVD selection of this year, I'll tell you that. Most holiday shows are throwaway shows. and usually Christmas is the worst, with everybody referencing gifts in terms of this. I'm going to give you the gift of beating your ass, which is really the premise of every single Christmas show, that everybody tries to make a joke that a gift is really an ass kicking. And so it wasn't quite that bad. But I'll tell you this, and probably the worst part, and I don't like to make this a negative podcast right off the bat. I usually look for the good in the show. To be honest with you, I enjoy wrestling really no matter what's presented, but there are times when it makes you eye roll and it makes you almost embarrassed to watch. And I've been watching for 20 years, and this was one of those moments with the food fight at the beginning. And I think that the food fight was nothing more than a projection of Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn's sophomoric, frozen in time, your junior year of high school type of humor. Or even before that. I mean, honestly, Vince McMahon's humor is clearly on display when these shows that he knows nobody's watching, he just kind of gets free reign. It's like, well, nobody's watching anyway, damn it. This would be hilarious. And it's not. Not only is it not funny, it doesn't do anything for me from a comedic standpoint, from advancing any storylines, character development. It does nothing, and actually takes away from the characters, takes away from the stories, because you have people sitting together that are in storylines themselves. You have guys that wanted to tear each other's heads off and couldn't wait to get their hands on each other that are now sitting across the room from each other, and all they do is throw food at each other like they're in a middle school lunchroom. I don't understand why this is funny. It's not funny. I don't understand the purpose of it. If that's its intention, that it's supposed to be comedic, well, fail. I think that is a complete, it really degrades the product in a way and doesn't do anything for me in any facet of the imagination. It was nothing more than a cartoonish, really type of retrograding personification of wrestling. I'm sorry. I know I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it, but that is what it is to me. And just a couple more thoughts, and then I'll get to a phone call or two. Other than that, there were some bright spots. Obviously, I think the John Cena, AJ Styles, although a little bit long, made an impact. And then Enzo and Cass joining John Cena, which I'll get to, was a big deal in terms of, well, it was one of the biggest highlights of the night, if you want to call it that. No Shane and Stephanie on Raw, and one of them is consistently on vacation. For running a multi-billion-dollar organization, they sure take a hell of a lot of vacations from running their flagship show, don't they? So look, I'll give it to WWE that it's a holiday. Okay, typically those shows are throwaway. On top of the fact that, yeah, they had a long trip to Japan. They're trying to figure out what's going on with the draft, which I don't think they still know. It's almost disheartening. It's scary. I'm fearful that WWE doesn't even know what they're doing with the draft. I don't think they do. It is downright scary. We are getting very little, other than Michael Cole and JBL mentioning it to the audience through their headsets. We aren't getting anything on air about how important this draft is and what it's going to mean, and moving down the line, who's going to stay, who's going to go, what does it mean for their careers. We've heard almost nothing. New Day mentioned it briefly about, what if we get split up? But we're not hearing or seeing anything, or there's no importance about it. It's other than the occasional bad GM of the past coming back every week. So that is concerning to me. But look, by the way, on a side note, Brock Lesnar this Saturday night, UFC 200. Believe it or not, it's already here. It kind of snuck up on me. I didn't realize it. I thought it was still a couple weeks away. I just felt like it was just stuck in time, 2 weeks away. But it's this Saturday night, and against Mark Hunt. And Brock Lesnar is an underdog by a fairly solid margin. I believe he's a 2-1 or underdog. So I believe it too, because look, Brock's been out of the game for a while. Mark Hunt really plays to the weaknesses of Brock Lesnar. He's a very powerful puncher. Brock Lesnar has very I shouldn't say poor. One of his strengths is not striking defense. So this should end quickly one way or the other. I'm pulling for Brock, but I could see Mark Hunt winning this match and this fight, I should say, not a match, a fight this Saturday night in Vegas. So before I move down the line here and continue with my Raw thoughts, let's talk to you guys. Let's hear from you. I'm live on Twitter at Matt's Madness. You can tweet me. You can send me an email, questions at mattsmadness.com. I'm live on Twitter as I'm pulling up the app on my phone now. So if you have questions, comments, anything that you want to throw to me, I can answer on the air right now. And if I have any phone calls, I'll be happy to take those. And it looks like I have area code 304. State your name and where you're calling from. Hey, how's it going, Justin? How are you?
Doing pretty good, Matt. I wanted to let you know something really quickly, and I know this is kind of going off topic, but I think that it's important. Right now on Blog Talk Radio, the reason that I'm not able to get all my shows on the website right now because it's the archive not working correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually trying to work with support to try to get that fixed. So, when you want to do your shows with support, even live, they're not going to import correctly, and we're just going to have a hard time.
I know. That's really good to know. Is this a system-wide issue or is it just with you?
Well, right now, all they've been able to do is they tried to import my feed on their end, and they had trouble too. So this is probably everywhere on the website. I think.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's good to know. I mean, and they actually just corrected the whole Skype issue. I can now call in on Skype, which is better quality, and people can call me. So they must have just fixed that issue too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a mess because I paid like $400 to be able to do my shows, and I don't want to do any new content until all my old stuff is archived, and it's been a real mess.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. I mean, that this is not a cheap service. People think, oh, you're just running people can call in, but, this platform, when it works, it's great, but it's not cheap. I definitely understand that.
Yeah, and also that I will say, and I'm not promoting myself on your show, but I'm really glad that you liked my episode with Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, no, I meant to, and I was going to mention that on the show today, that if you guys haven't, all my listeners, if you haven't checked out this interview that he did, Justin Harvey, search for the Justin Harvey Show, and he did a half-hour interview with Eric Bischoff, who was I thought very informative. I learned a lot, that he's still into wrestling and things of that nature. I won't give it away, but it's a great interview, and I would highly recommend that you guys go and check it out.
And on the wrestling front, man, I wanted to say that one of the things I love on the WWE Network is that camp show, and I love that it caters to adults.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if the WWE did that with the wrestling for a little bit, maybe the wrestling would be a little better. What do you think?
I think at times, look, I mean, yeah, I enjoy Camp WWE. It definitely caters to our audience, or at least our age group. The ones that grew up in the Attitude Era and then had to go through the PG era, or really the cartoon era. Sometimes that it feels like it's almost too childlike. But yeah, I think that there are elements of that they could bring into WWE programming. The thing is, they're not going to, at least in the foreseeable future, switch back to TV 14. It just, as much as some people would like to see it, I think that they have too many sponsors on board that are really into the family-friendly version of WWE that they're now presenting.
That makes a lot of sense. Have you ever watched Total Divas? Because I always wanted to get your thoughts on that show. I think it's pretty interesting to be able to see the divas in life situations. They're just like you and me, and sometimes even worse than you and me.
Yeah, the Total Divas. Well, I think, I would love to believe that a lot of it isn't scripted, but sometimes I feel like I'm looking at it and I'm just like, there's just no way that Brie would say this at this point, So I think it's kind of a work shoot type of show where they have real relationships, but at times you have producers say, well, wouldn't it be interesting if you said this instead of this? But yeah, I enjoy it. It's kind of like a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, and I think it brings in outside eyes that wouldn't otherwise know what this product is. It's definitely, I think it's obviously very successful, and I hope they continue it. It's a great exposure for the women of WWE, but the thing is, the only drawback is that it's total divas. In other words, it's putting that diva label back on the women, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. So, and how are things on the Raw front? I keep, like I said, I keep missing it, and I think the reason that I keep missing it is I get so busy, and like I said, I've gotten to where I can turn on my Apple TV and just watch the network, and that's a lot easier for me instead of going through my recordings and finding Raw and all this. I would, like I said in the past, Matt, I would love to see Raw and SmackDown live on the network. You
Hmm.
know, will this ever happen? You know, I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, when I first signed up for the network, when they were talking about it, the first thing I was thinking is, oh, yo, look, wow, this is gonna be great. There's gonna be SmackDown and Raw, so I can just watch it from my iPad or wherever you have. And yeah, obviously that didn't happen. And the reason being is these massive multi-million dollar contracts that they have with the USA Network, and all of the revenue that brings into the company. To switch it over to the network, they would have to offset it with a massive much more number of subscribers to offset that loss that they're not on cable television anymore. I think down the line, long term, I'd say, 5-10 years, I think you're going to see it go to the WWE Network, where you see more people cutting the cord. And it's trending there now. You're having people cutting the cord because everything that you need is on Hulu. It's on Netflix. It's on Amazon Prime and so forth. So down the line, I think absolutely that's where they're looking. But for the foreseeable future, other than replays, I wish, but I don't think so.
Well, what they should at least do, Matt, and I don't think you disagree with this statement. They do put the Raws up there, but they should at least put it up the very next day after it airs or something instead of waiting 30 days. Because after 30 days, who cares?
Exactly, unless you want to be purposely 30 days behind the product, which I don't think most people do. I would agree with that. And I look, I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. I wish they would do all this. The problem is, I think also they have an agreement with Hulu. So Hulu has the Raw off, like it's usually the next morning. They're out pretty quick. So that's what I watch. I watch the 90-minute version of Hulu. So if they were to put it on the network, well, they're kind of cannibalizing Hulu, and therefore, I'm sure they had something in their clause or their agreement with Hulu that they wouldn't do that, and they would wait 30 days.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So, and I'm actually going to tell you, Matt, and I'll let you go. I'm actually going to write Eric Bischoff today and let him know that you're a friend of mine and see if I can get you hooked up to get Eric Bischoff on the show.
Hey, listen, I would not oppose to that. He sounds like a great guy. Obviously, you asked him some awesome questions, which I won't spoil. Like I said, you guys check out the Justin Harvey show. But listen, I'm not gonna turn that down. I'd really appreciate that if you did that.
Yeah, anything I can do to help, and I really appreciate this time to speak on your station here. So I look at it, me and Matt as a team. Me and Matt's not, competing against each other. Me and Matt's a team. So that's how I look at it.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think of us as competition. I think it's kind of, yeah, like you said, it's a team deal, and anytime I can help you or you help me, that's how I look at this relationship. So definitely.
Absolutely. Take care, Matt.
All right, take care, Justin. Again, guys, great guy. Check out the Justin Harvey show. He has some great guests. Obviously, Eric Bischoff being his most recent. Listen to the whole thing. It's a great listen. And again, subscribe and rate and review him as well. It really will. You'll enjoy it. Trust me. It's not one of those deals where I'm just kind of promoting it and I'm not really believing in it. It's a great show, great guy, and check him out. So let's take another phone call here, and then we'll continue with Monday Night Raw. The second call, let's go to the second call of the day. It's area code 732. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Andrew from New Jersey. Hey, what's going on? What's on your mind? Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I was
Weird.
it's an odd pairing, and well, the thing is, I mean, WWE, I don't believe they've officially announced it. I know it was heavily rumored all over the place, but with SmackDown, everyone was looking to the spoilers to see who there would be announced, but WWE is actually smart in not including it in the taped version, so they're clearly post-editing it and adding a segment into the show that you can only watch on Thursday. So that was a smart idea, because otherwise everyone would be like, I'm not watching SmackDown. I already know who Brock Lesnar's facing. So what they did is tomorrow night they're going to actually air the version that has that clip included. If it does end up being Randy Orton, yeah, it is kind of an odd choice. Considering that, number one, Randy Orton's coming off of shoulder surgery, so you would want a guy who is Mr. Suplex City throwing Randy Orton on his back, on his shoulder. You know, it's a high risk. Even though Brock Lesnar's a safe guy, his gig is throwing people around and tossing bodies around the ring. So if it is Randy, look, it's a fresh matchup, but does it make a lot of storyline sense? Not really.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And plus, they don't really have a big name they can throw at Brock. They use Big Show, Mark Henry, Cena a million times, you know. But at least, you know. So, yeah, like you said, it's a fresh matchup. It's kind of interesting. Are you going to SummerSlam?
You know what? I probably should. It's only 3 hours from me. I'm up in Albany, and obviously New York City is only 3 hours away. So I would absolutely love to. I have family prior commitments that I can't really skip. But I am attending WrestleMania this year, and the WrestleMania tickets go on sale during SummerSlam weekend usually. So yeah, I'm looking forward to WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, and that's really my next destination. So are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to SummerSlam. I just bought my tickets for NXT Takeover. I did already last year. Because I live an hour outside the city, so whenever they're around Jersey or Philly, New York, I try to. Because I'm Central Jersey, I'm right there. So
Oh man, you're gonna have a blast. I mean, with NXT and then summer. Oh man, that is NXT, SummerSlam, and Monday Night Raw. That is gonna be. Let me tell you, I'm jealous. I am very jealous. And listen, if you wanna call in, and whenever I have my shows, you check them out. I mean, all my links are on my Twitter feed or my site. So if you want to just kind of call in and let me know, like kind of a live correspondent type deal, hey, be more than happy to do that, because anytime I can get a live person there, it's a much different perspective of what's going on in the show, how it feels, what's going on. So definitely feel free to call back. I'd really enjoy your perspective on it.
yeah, actually, you just added me on Twitter today. That's why I noticed the show, and so I was listening to it.
Oh, very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so now that maybe I'll hit you up on Twitter or something like that. Yeah, I'll definitely do that for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My buddy and I, we did the Shield last time. My buddies and I for SummerSlam. And then for Extreme Rules, we did the new. We dressed up as the New Day.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So we got like a whole Christmas segment because people were just coming at us like all night, and then we were just having so much fun. But I like to my buddies like to play around, but I like to actually sit down and watch the matches. And I sit there quietly, and so yeah, maybe I'll hit you guys up.
hey, yeah, definitely. And let me know, because, again, it provides such a better insight into what's going on than rather just kind of a third person view. But hey, listen, I'm jealous. Have an awesome time, and hopefully we'll be in touch.
Yeah, man, I'm just going maybe.
Yeah, I know. Well, I got to get the tickets first, right? Yeah, no, I'm excited though. And to be honest with you, I mean, it can't be. And I'm not too down on this past year's WrestleMania, but from everything I've seen, all the new talent, possibly old talent coming back, new stars. This, to me, I'm already more excited about 33 than I was about 32. That's for sure.
Did you go to 29?
No, I didn't. I went to the last WrestleMania I went to was WrestleMania 20 in Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, no, my dad took me for that as a kid. But yeah, I went to 29, and I got off the when I got onto the train to get back home. I mean, people were so disappointed and hard like they spent all this money, and I spent like 360 to sit in the lower section, and yeah, you could just feel like it was a weird feeling, because the Punk and Taker match has just been the main event.
I mean, you did. Yeah, I was just gonna say you had Rock and John Cena. Yep, yep.
Yeah, twice in a lifetime. So, I mean, people, yeah, everyone, the card was so predictable. Yeah, by the end of the Brock Lesnar Triple H match, people were just kind of burnt out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, geez, yeah. The, by the time the main event, yeah, the main event this year, by the time it came on, I was exhausted. The people in the crowd were exhausted. Nobody cared about Reigns Triple H this year. I mean, it was a very exhausting WrestleMania. I think and I hope that they take the length of the show down this year. I mean, they have to. 7 hours plus pre-show, post-show. It's too much. Yeah, absolutely. And this is why I'm very excited this year, is because this is the first year that you're having, it's really the new generation. This is the first true year where you're having those new guys from NXT come up and really make an impact. I mean, AJ Styles, these guys that are from, New Japan and Ring of Honor, and they have a lot of experience. And this is really the first time that the reset button has truly been hit. And that's why I'm excited about this year. Yeah, and this very well could be Undertaker's last year too. I mean, we've been saying that for 10 years, 15 years, but every year it's got to be, Yeah, I have too. I mean, I've been watching since '97, and that was when he started the Ministry of Darkness and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, Undertaker every year, and you hear comments every time he's done, after WrestleMania that, oh, I'm done, this is my last year. But if WWE is smart, they need to know like at least 5-6 months ahead of time so they can promote the hell out of it. Why wouldn't they want to promote this months and months and months ahead of time to really build up one of the most respected, one of the longest guys in the business to ride off into the sunset and create a massive aura around this WrestleMania. And that is why I think if we don't know by SummerSlam or Royal Rumble, then he may go another couple of years. But this very well could be his final Mania, and I'm hoping. And the only reason I'm hoping is selfishly because I'll be there. He had a couple moments, yeah. He had a couple moments with that urn that he hit Undertaker in the head with and all that made you believe, like, oh my God, that could be it. And yeah, absolutely. And I think we all can probably agree that Undertaker shouldn't have ever had the streak broken. Looking back, there's no longer, really, I mean, look, there's arguments for both sides. You have Brock Lesnar who, I mean, the only reason I disagree with it is because now you have Undertaker at WrestleMania where it's no longer about the streak. It's more about just seeing Undertaker. It's the spectacle of seeing, right. And it's more of just a nostalgia match with Undertaker of enjoying every second he's in the ring because it very well could be his last. But Brock Lesnar being the streak, if you're going to have anybody do it, yes, he's the guy to do it. And I just hope nobody else is on that side that Brock Lesnar beat Undertaker at Mania. He should be the one and only.
Yeah. So to your point, remember last year with Rock dying because of I kind of feel like if he didn't, it would have been a waste.
Yes.
There, because there's no. I mean, Paul Heyman promoted this every time he came out. He's the one in the 1 and 21-1, stuff like that. So that was just great. It gives Brock a bigger feel to him because he's the one and only guy to actually do it.
Yes. Yep.
When you take away that shock moment at the end of the night, you're feeling better about it because Daniel Bryan swept Batista and Orton. So it was a decent WrestleMania 30.
And yeah, I don't think anybody, when they counted that 3, I was standing there, or I was sitting in my living room. My jaw was open, and I'm like, "Whoa, was that supposed to happen?" Like, and it was just dead silent. They didn't play any music. They didn't have anything. The crowd didn't know what to do. I was expecting somebody to come out and restart the match, or there's something, and it just, that was it. And I just couldn't believe it. So for the shock value, or to get a buzz, as Vince McMahon likes to do, and create controversy, he did it. I mean, it's just the follow-up, like you said, getting Brock re-signed, absolutely. If they didn't re-sign Brock and he just kind of goes away and does UFC again, well then, I mean, that would have been a total waste. But to have Brock re-sign, and yeah, he's part-time. He does SummerSlam. He'll do a Royal Rumble. He does WrestleMania. And now he's kind of doing his own thing, kind of doing a multi-platform in UFC and WWE. It really adds credibility to Brock. So I understand that argument too. Yep. Yeah, that is...
They kind of thought this was stupid. A wrestling star gets the biggest buy in UFC. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, whoever picked his opponent... Whoever chose his opponent wasn't in the Brock Lesnar camp, I can tell you that. I mean, you have Brock Lesnar, who hasn't stepped inside the octagon in, 3-4 years? And now you have a guy, Mark Hunt, who is, I mean, he's not undefeated, but he has the one weapon that Brock Lesnar has a problem defending against, and that's striking. And Mark Hunt can strike. He's got one of the most powerful punches that in MMA today. He clearly didn't like getting hit by Cain Velasquez, so... Brock, maybe things have changed, but man, when you're putting Brock Lesnar against an opponent, whoever was selecting that opponent was not thinking about Brock Lesnar's safety, that's for sure.
And I'm a little curious because we have Punk going at 200 too.
Yeah, Punk, yeah, yep.
He hasn't been tested yet.
Yeah, you have a lot of people who don't think Punk's going to last very long in MMA. And I honestly don't know. He's untested. He's in uncharted waters. I don't want to make a really a determination between now and then, and just kind of see what happens after his first fight. You would think they'd want to put him against somebody that would at least, match or even be a little bit less in his skill, so that he could add some brand value to MMA and not just get him crushed by his first opponent. After how many years has it been now since Punk announced it? 2 years at least? So.
Like 2 years ago.
Uh,
Interesting world. CM Punk in UFC and Brock UFC and all this stuff going on.
Oh yeah, I mean, but MMA, UFC likes to pretend that WWE doesn't exist. They don't even want those worlds to acknowledge each other, when in fact they could do themselves a huge favor by actually letting their fans know that WWE exists. Everybody knows it exists. Nobody's trying to pretend that what's going on inside the octagon is fixed. Everybody knows it's not, and that's I don't know. So, hey, listen, Andrew, I really appreciate the call. It's been a lot of fun. But if you would like to, definitely call back when you head to Brooklyn. I'm jealous.
Yeah, man, I definitely will. I'll hit you up and I'll let you know.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Glad to talk.
I appreciate it, Andrew. Awesome call. You guys have been good today. If you guys have more calls, definitely hit me up. 646-787-8297. That is the number. Press 1 and you'll get into the phone queue. We can talk about WWE, MMA. Hey, MMA and WWE are merging worlds on Saturday, so to speak. And you have Brock Lesnar against Mark Hunt. You want to talk about that? That's also on the table. It's really up to you guys. I'm going to run down Raw. We got our WWE news flash. But first, a word from the sponsor. All right, guys, welcome back. Thank you for sticking with me. Let's roll through Monday Night Raw. And again, if you have an opinion, a comment, a question about WWE, UFC, even UFC's on the table this week. Although I will have a disclaimer here. I'm not a huge follower of UFC. Not that I don't like it or don't have any interest in it. It's just that I don't follow it regularly with all the other zillion things I have going on and all this podcast and, just life, guys. Life in general. My job outside of this. And so, again, 646-787-8297. Press 1. You'll get in the queue, and we can talk about, really, whatever's on your mind. How about that? Okay, so let's get into the WWE News Flash. There are some interesting news items today. All right, guys, so let's get into the WWE News Flash here. Jerry Lawler has been cleared of all charges, and his suspension has been lifted. That's right, Jerry Lawler is now reinstated into WWE, which means, hey, could he be back on SmackDown? Does he get drafted to Raw? Is everybody up for grabs in the draft? We're going to find out in 2 weeks. And hopefully he does join one of the announced teams because that's clearly where he belongs and not inside the ring. Brock Lesnar's SummerSlam opponent is going to be announced on SmackDown this week. Smart by WWE not to have included in the spoilers. As I mentioned with the previous caller, it is a secret, and as it should be. Many people are speculating Randy Orton. Some people are speculating Roman Reigns. Maybe somebody that we don't even see on the table right now. But this Thursday, tomorrow night on SmackDown, Brock Lesnar's SummerSlam opponent is going to be announced. Cody Hall, a.k.a. Cody Rhodes, may need to undergo neck surgery. Back in April at the New Japan Pro Wrestling Invasion Attack event, Cody Hall suffered a neck injury, Cody Rhodes. It's kept him out of action ever since. Cody's father, Scott Hall, gave the following update to the Post Media's Jan Murphy / Slam Wrestling regarding Cody's future. He said, he's doing okay. He's not quite healing quickly as we'd hoped. He turned down a couple of bookings because he's got a lot of pride in his performance and he doesn't want to go out there where he can't be 100%. He's been consulting with doctors in Japan where he is injured and here in the U.S., and he's going to make a decision here in the next week or so about what route to go. Some are recommending surgery, some are just saying rehab, but I mean, he's in the gym every day. If you were here to see him, you wouldn't think he was injured at all. There's just some little things with him. He's real picky about his performances. So that's your WWE News Flash, guys. Let's get back to Monday Night Raw. All right, guys, let's roll into Monday Night Raw. And so this opened with one of the worst, as I mentioned, and I won't dig too far into this because it pains me as a wrestling fan. Pains me to have to actually tell you what happened. As most of you saw, it was a food fight to open Raw. Yep, a food fight. And it's just a kayfabe killing segment. And many of you say, hey, kayfabe's dead. Okay, well, it is, but I don't need to be reminded of it. It's the old adage, the old comparison of watching a movie and having the actors in the middle of the movie say, hey, whoa. You're watching a movie, don't forget. What's actually happening here isn't real. That's pretty much what's happening and at WWE programming every other week with their pat on the back segments about Susan G. Komen and Connor's Cure and all that stuff, which is great, but it's killing your product. And really for the sacrifice of building the brand and, making sure that everybody knows what great work we're doing. As Stephanie McMahon put it, philanthropy is going to drive the success of this business. Gag me. Okay, so it wasn't funny. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't productive. Other than Kevin Owens hiding under the table, it was a complete disgrace to the product. I don't know who their audience is here, who they were targeting. I don't know how many elementary school kids were, up late to watch this food fight. I don't know. Maybe that's the audience they were going for. It's just here, like I said, it is just Vince McMahon and his humor being portrayed in a segment on Raw that should never, ever, ever make air for any reason ever. It's just a middle school food fight between grown men. I mean, anyway, let's get to Raw. So Lillian was singing the national anthem, and I was thinking it was a perfect opportunity for Rusev to interrupt, but instead he has to wait to come out. No real build-up to this match. There was no build-up, no explanation of why this was really happening, and they really should have at least promoted this through the show. This is one of the only legitimate segments on the show. You would think that they'd want to have this promoted and throughout the show kind of saying, hey, we have a U.S. title match tonight. Let me hear from the two combatants. Let me hear what it means to them. Instead, we just kind of thrown at us at the beginning of Raw, and Titus coming out in an Uncle Sam outfit doesn't really help the matter at all. And I don't know really who they're trying to get to cheer Titus. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. Could you imagine Titus's reaction to when he was told he had to wear that outfit? I mean, imagine, creative coming up to him and saying, by the way, the hell with your normal gear tonight. You're wearing these butterbean Uncle Sam shorts. That's what you're wearing. And hey, Titus just does what he's told, but he ends up tapping to the accolade, and Rusev continues to lock it in after the win. And here's the other thing. Lana, which maybe I was blind or just blinked and didn't see Lana walk down to the ring with Rusev, but when Rusev was actually competing during the match, then you saw Lana. So I would think that WWE is trying to serve two masters here, where they don't want her coming down to the ring with him, but she's still with him. So they're trying to be like, oh yeah, they're actually engaged in real life, but don't associate the bad Rusev with Lana because you're supposed to like Lana. I guess, because it was just odd. She didn't walk out with him, but she was at ringside. So I just assume they're trying to keep Lana babyface even though she's engaged to Rusev, which... what does it matter? Because to me, Lana was better as a heel. To me, Lana actually, in her little tight business suit with her hair up in a bun, was much better suited than she is in kind of an awkward role as supporting Rusev, but not being in the women's division. And I don't know. I don't understand this whole deal. At least here's the consolation. She's not with Dolph Ziggler, and she's not in a I guess, bleached denim short shorts jacket that she was with Ziggler. She was wearing with Ziggler's whole program last year in that one of the worst love triangles of all time in WWE. Okay, so enough of that. Charlotte and Dana Brooke's segment was next, and Charlotte says that jealousy is among the strongest human emotions, and there isn't anyone more jealous of her than Sasha Banks. She says that she is all hype. Sasha ends up coming out and says that she may be champion, but will never be her. And Charlotte says that, where have you been anyway? And she's pretty sure that she's been here and she's been champion almost the entire time. So that makes her, as I flip, you can hear my papers here. Again, I don't know why I stapled this damn thing. I should just have it on my damn screen. I should just send the file instead of printing this thing out. Anyway, Charlotte says that she is a legit boss. It ends kind of with some awkward physicality. Charlotte gets put in the bank statement, and Dana Brooke pulling her to safety. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like this should have been a bigger deal. Maybe it was the off night of being a holiday Raw, and it just feels like Sasha Banks versus Charlotte isn't as big as it should be yet. But maybe that's the slow burn, and it doesn't need to exactly explode yet. To me, and I'll tell you this, and I've said this since WrestleMania, that you will not see the belt change hands until SummerSlam with Sasha taking it from Charlotte in Brooklyn. It's the time, it's the place to do it. And look, it's going to be on a platform that's second to WrestleMania. It's in Brooklyn, huge NXT town, very knowledgeable, hardcore fans. Look out. I think that is the time to do it. And as I mentioned on a radio show, sportsonthego1.com, yesterday as a guest, I said that if Charlotte doesn't drop the belt to Sasha at SummerSlam, you're going to see, and that match hasn't even officially been announced, but it's pretty much a foregone conclusion, that I think Bayley will make her entrance at SummerSlam to confront the champion as her next challenger. So just a little bit of a I guess, prediction there. So, all right, let's keep rolling down the line here. And again, if you want to join the conversation, 646-787-8297. I'm also live on Twitter. If you have comments, questions, suggestions, you can do so. And if you have called the number, just press 1. You get in the queue. We'll talk WrestleMania. We'll talk SummerSlam. Hey, Monday Night Raw or the live SmackDown that we know nothing about. How about that? All right, let's continue down the line here. And it is Dean Ambrose versus The Miz, champion versus champion. And they mentioned that this is a rarity. But is it? It just happened on SmackDown. So Dean wins fairly easily with dirty deeds on The Miz, and Ambrose and Rollins cross paths on the ramp as Seth comes out for his match with Ziggler. How did these matches happen anyway? Who made these matches? Why are they fighting? Just basics of wrestling that aren't even delivered on Raw. I know it's a throwaway show, but give us a somewhat of a reason other than every match was driven by the sophomoric middle school food fight that Vince McMahon thinks is funny, as he thinks pushing people in a pool is funny. It's just like it's like the rest of him grew as his sense of humor froze at the age of 14. That's what Monday Night Raw felt like. It really felt like that Vince McMahon is a 70-year-old man that grew into a 70-year-old body, but that part of his brain that controls his sense of humor just froze at the age of 14. That's really what this was. Okay, let's move. Ziggler versus Rollins was next, and it's really a shame because this match on paper is, I think, could be an amazing match. This is one of those matches that if they went 60 minutes, I would watch it in a heartbeat. Sign me up for it. How much is it? How much do I have to pay to watch it? It's just a shame that the position Ziggler's in right now doesn't mean a whole lot. He is just one of those guys that kind of scratches the main event, and then it's like creative is there to just give him the old boot. If you guys have ever seen A Christmas Story, when Ralphie's trying to visit Santa and he gets pushed down the slide but then catches himself and he's climbing up that slide to go tell Santa what he wants, and he has Santa telling him he's going to shoot his eye out and just pushes him back down all the way to the bottom. That is Dolph Ziggler's career in a nutshell. You have him going up, going down, and then ultimately you have the fans not care because you have sent the message that they are not going to do anything of real long-term significance with this character. And it's a shame because Dolph Ziggler is a hell of a talent in the ring. He can talk on the microphone given the time and not given scripts, and drop the whole let me steal the show. So in other words, you're telling us I'm the best entertainer. No, I'm not watching a magic show. Tell me you're going to win the match. Tell me what winning the match is going to be. So you're telling me as long as you steal the show, you don't give a damn if you win the match. Bad, no. It's a nice little catchphrase. It's cute, but it doesn't ultimately grab me because you're telling me you just want to be the show stealer. Well, you could say, oh, well, Shawn Michaels was, but Shawn Michaels was also the main event. Okay, Shawn Michaels also was a believable character that could make anybody inside the ring look 10 times better than they actually are, and that is a value. And that is why many people, an invaluable, an intangible asset is what I meant to say. And yes, Dolph Ziggler does possess some of that, but then you have Dolph Ziggler just kind of coming out there in pink tights and not being put in a program of any significance. And it's just a different time. I understand that. And maybe I don't know. I don't know the backstage politics, but it's a shame because this guy can go in the ring. He has Shawn Michaels-esque type of intangibles. Yes. But don't tell me you're going to be the show stealer. Just stop. Okay. Let's move on as I get on another tangent. So this match was nice, very talented in-ring workers here. The only issue I have is Seth no-sold a huge DDT only to get it followed into the pedigree for the win. What? It was like an RVD ECW type of DDT on Seth Rollins, who no-sold it and hit the pedigree. I understand that it's a contradiction of opposites where you want to have something unexpected happen right away. But if you get dropped on your head that hard, that fast, you're not popping right back up. So don't make it happen inside the ring when you're trying to present a product as competition. Or maybe we're past that point. Maybe nobody cares about it actually trying to be a competition anymore. Or maybe WWE's like, the hell with it. We're not going to insult their intelligence. I want to be fooled. I want to believe. That's the thing. It's like Santa Claus. I want to believe still. Don't get me in a position where it's just obvious. It's like you literally roll your eyes. So I love both these talents. That was just one of those things that it's like, what? It was kind of like Dean Ambrose. I think he got the super kick from Dolph Ziggler 3-4 weeks ago on Raw. He super kicked Dean in the chin, Dean did his rebound clothesline and ended up winning the match. What? I mean, that's the kind of stuff you can't. It's like, I don't know. It's like getting a stunner and no selling it and then hitting your own finisher. What? I just. Okay, I think I got the Stone Cold 2002 phrase in my head of what. All right, let's end this. Let's continue down here. So Rollins gets on the mic after beating Ziggler with the pedigree and says, he's standing on the announce table and says that it should be one-on-one for the WWE title with him and Ambrose. Second week in a row that they're using this terminology of WWE title, by the way, which tells me it's going to be WWE title and World Heavyweight Championship. All right, that's cool. I mean, you can make an argument for and against having separate brands have separate belts. There's arguments for and against. And let me tell you this. No matter what happens with Raw and SmackDown, no matter who's drafted to what or what belt they use and don't, or if there's floating champions or not, and who's the COO. By the way, they're not using GMs. They're using COOs as titles for each brand, which cool. They're trying to create a totally new flavor and feel for the brand split than the first time around. I'm cool with that. And COO sounds more important than GM. When you look at the typical corporate America, GM is below COO. So great, cool. They're using new terminology. But, where the heck was I going with that? I had something really good. Damn. I don't know. But if it comes to me, I will edit it back in. Because that's the magic of the post-editing of audio. But when you're live and you can't do much about it. So let's move down the line and let's see here. Yeah, so WWE title, World Heavyweight title. I hope that they actually split the belts. To me, I understand the importance of having one champion, but having two, if they're doing a hard brand split, you can't have one champion on one brand and there's no top champion on the other. And, if they're not doing a floating champion, then, yeah, you're going to have somebody fighting for something, right? And I would assume U.S. title goes on one brand, Intercontinental title goes on the other. And they have to. I would think they have to try to evenly split this. And let's move down the line here. Seth says that the worst part about this is he's supposed to be a role model, he meaning Roman Reigns. And he says that we're all just like him. We cheat to win and haven't worked a day in our lives. Nobody booed this. They ended up brawling, and Ambrose hits dirty deeds on Rollins on the Spanish announce table that doesn't break. And so, hey, you have a Seth Rollins that just can't get over as a heel. He can't reach where he was before unless they would have to really focus on that and that alone, making Seth Rollins a bad guy again. Yeah, it's not like he has a stable anymore. J&J's not there to really take the heat for him and do his dirty work. Seth Rollins has valid arguments week after week saying he didn't need anybody to get to the top, and he didn't, and he did it. He had the authority backing himself, but he proved himself inside the ring week after week. The fans are not going to boo him. You put him on a big stage, Roman Reigns, and let me tell you this. And actually, let me tell you something. I'm going to take our final commercial break because I've got an argument for why Roman Reigns should win the belt at BattleGround. I'm not advocating for it. I don't want it to happen, but I've got a very solid argument for why it could happen. And just kind of bear with me here, guys. I'm going to take our final commercial break. And on the other side, it's very interesting because I thought about this earlier today, and I've got a very solid argument why Roman Reigns should walk away with the belt at BattleGround. Stay with me. All right, guys. So as promised, let me tell you why. Why does Roman Reigns even deserve to have this belt? Many of you may say, and myself included, that it would be a bad optic for WWE to suddenly make the guy who failed the wellness test champion again. They would have probably a lot of sponsors going, what? This guy just failed a drug test. You'd have a lot of backlash from the boys in the back going, he just failed a drug test and he gets the belt back again? You would have a lot of backlash, and that would be the argument. On top of the fact that, hey, nobody really wants to see Roman Reigns as a babyface champion. But that's the key. You don't want to see Roman Reigns as babyface champion. Imagine the heat. And this is only if, and that's a massive if, Vince finally bends and says, hey, this is really the final opportunity to make Roman Reigns a hot heel champion. There's no better time because you have a real life scenario that people could point at and go, that's a bad guy. He's served his time, right? He served his time. He's suspended for 30 days. He did what he was supposed to do. He owned it, right? All that stuff. So all the PR, the actual people who are concerned about their sponsors and all the people outside of the fans of the product can go, all right, well, he did his time. He followed the wellness policy. WWE has a policy in place. They're clearly not exempting anybody from that punishment. So you have a guy that is now vilified in some people's eyes, who has done his time and is now brought back into the fold. You're gonna put him in a position now where you have really all the stars have aligned. If Vince McMahon doesn't see this now, I don't know what he's seeing. And I very well could be talking to deaf ears here, where Vince McMahon goes, "Damn it, no! I'm sticking with my plan. I'm going to see this through. This guy's going to be the biggest babyface champion you've ever seen. Just watch." It's past that time, Vince. It's over. Okay. Could that happen in the future? Absolutely. Could Roman Reigns be the biggest babyface champion we've seen in years? Could be very possible. It's just not yet. Not yet. And here's why this is the perfect opportunity. And if the belt is put back on Roman, here's what it's going to do. It's going to instantly create more heat than he ever had before. Because most people are predicting not a chance Roman's going to win this match. There's not a chance coming off of losing the belt and now coming back after a wellness policy violation only to be that guy again. Imagine the real heat that this guy would have. Not only the fans that already hate him have even more of a reason to hate him, but you have the fans that are on the fence about him or maybe are slightly pro Reigns, but after they realize that he failed a wellness test, they kind of maybe turned on him. And now you have him going right back to holding that belt. This would create the biggest heel we've seen in years, surpassing Rollins. That did an excellent job last year, all of 2015 being one of the best heels I've seen since Triple H. And I thought Triple H was a great heel. To me, this is the best opportunity. If you put the belt back on Roman, which is completely unexpected by most people don't even consider Reigns as a factor in that match other than just there to take the heat and get the boos and ultimately take the pinfall by Rollins or Ambrose, right? And that, that most likely was probably what's going to happen because Vince is too concerned about what the optic of what the boys in the back would think about that, what their sponsors would think about that. But he's done his time, right? He did his punishment. It's not like he's resisting or BSing or trying to work his way out of it or snivel his way out of what he did. He owned it, right? So, putting the belt back on this guy would create a massive heel. It would create so much heat that you would pray any babyface to come along and take it off of him, and it would generate the most legitimate heel heat we have seen in years. So, take that into consideration when you're watching BattleGround, that Roman Reigns isn't completely out of the equation, as many of us have just kind of written him off. Now, I don't have my official predictions yet, and it likely will not be Roman Reigns. But there is the logic, and there is your possible reasoning behind Roman Reigns actually regaining the championship. Could you imagine that happening? WWE, I don't think, has the balls to do it. Vince doesn't have the balls to do it. Or I should actually say, and I'll take this one from Michael Kay. All right, if you guys listen to Michael Kay, Yankee sports announcer and radio host on ESPN, I don't think Vince McMahon has the onions to do this. I really don't. I think that he's too concerned about, number one, he's just been steadfast and he thinks that everything that he's tried to do, make Roman Reigns a babyface, is just going to be blown up and it'll be all for nothing if he just turns him heel now. But look at the opportunity in front of you, Vince. Look at the opportunity that's presented itself in a real life scenario that you have people thinking he's a bad guy now and then making him champion again, making a guy that's a bad guy. Well, I mean, if he did bad guy in terms of bad role model, He is no longer that role model for children. So roll with it. Roll with it and make this guy hated not just by the fans that already disliked him, but now the fans that were on the fence or did like him and now turned on him because of what happened in real life. Vince, this is a perfect scenario for you. He's not going to get cheered. It's not happening. A 1.5-year sample is long enough. So just a little bit of an argument there. For maybe Reigns taking the belt back at BattleGround. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying that's my official prediction. I'm just saying that is the argument and logic for it possibly happening. And if it did, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It would make me dislike Roman and want to boo him even more. And isn't that what you want? You want a real money heel, a real guy that people really gut dislike and don't just love to hate and love to actually cheer him because he's a great bad guy? No. This is gold in front of your eyes, Vince, because you have a heel that you could put somebody against that people would pay to see shut up Reigns, who is naturally arrogant anyway. Okay, so there's my argument for Reigns actually taking the belt back at BattleGround. All right, so backstage, Big Show, inspirational speech to his team, which consisted of Apollo Crews, Zack Ryder, Kane, Dudley's, Mark Henry, and Jack Swagger, for a 16-man elimination tag team match for later on versus the Multinational Alliance. Oh boy, I just really dislike holiday-inspired Raws just so much. I can't explain. I think maybe Teddy Long faxed in this tag team match. That's where it came from. This must have come from the desk of Teddy Long. Teddy, love you. You're a good guy. You're just known for these 20-man tag team matches. This match made no sense. Anyway, let's move down the line. John Cena comes out and talks if the crowd is disappointed about something because they aren't as fired up as they normally are. Oh, well, I don't know, John. Does a food fight get you fired up? I know he's trying to wake the crowd up after a lousy first hour. He's clearly trying to do it. And that's his job. I get it. He transitions to AJ Styles saying if you fight one member of the club, you fight them all. He calls out the entire club. AJ says what Cena is doing is pathetic. He's out there whining, complaining, and says that they've noticed that nobody comes out to help him. At this point, I was thinking, cue Finn Balor. We'll have to see about that one. But for now, they say that they're going to beat up John Cena, and they come down to the ring and start beating down John Cena after they go through kind of a hilarious skit of beating up him on Labor Day, on Christmas, and it was actually pretty funny. So Enzo and Cass come out. They are right now the help for Cena. They help clear out the ring. This sets up a 6-man tag at BattleGround. So I'm cool with that. I apparently, from what I'm reading, that Cena and AJ Styles are going to be in singles competition at SummerSlam. So if they follow it up there, that's cool too. I think that those two put on a great match at the last pay-per-view. And hey, we're taking a little bit of a detour into a 6-man tag and then ultimately leading back to these two one-on-one. Jericho's backstage trying to fire up his team. Who the hell set up this match is what I have in parentheses. New Day comes out and makes jokes and laugh at the Wyatt's invitation to come to their compound. Xavier snaps at the New Day, saying everything has been fun and games up until now, and if they can't see the danger that Bray Wyatt poses to the New Day, then he doesn't think the New Day can survive. Xavier walks out. Let me tell you, this match, or this pairing, this feud on paper scared me. And the first week scared me when they came out because there's such clash of personalities that it really didn't feel like they would ever blend together nicely. Xavier Woods has been that connection that is making this a successful, so far, matchup between these two teams that are on totally opposite ends of the spectrum here. You have two teams that one's laughing and joking and they can get beat up and come back and make laughs and jokes again the next week. And then you have a team that's all about Armageddon and everything is pain and suffering. Xavier is the savior, the connection between this. He's almost fearful of poking the bear, so to speak, and New Day not taking them seriously. So does Xavier ultimately end up joining New Day, which has been speculated, or do they continue to just play it out and have these two teams, after the feud's over, go separate ways? Which I don't think it's time to break up the New Day. I think their half-life is over. Maybe you go another 6 months, even a year at most, and then you have them break up. But right now they're selling t-shirts, they're selling cereal. It just doesn't make sense. And Xavier Woods is right now servicing this team very nicely by being the connection that really, he's really the spoon that's stirring the pot here, so to speak, and making this rivalry work. 16-man elimination tag team match, as I mentioned the previous segment, who they are. To make things worse, everyone who's introduced comes out to their country's national anthem, and here's where it gets worse. Yes, it gets worse. The ref DQs Kevin Owens for hitting his own teammate with a chair. What? And then Kane gets DQ'd for hitting an already disqualified Kevin Owens with a chair. Even the announcers laugh like they have no explanation. Zack Ryder pins Cesaro. It comes down to Sheamus versus Big Show and Zack Ryder. And that's your main event, folks. Team USA wins after Zack Ryder beats Sheamus. And this was brought up, and I'll give credit where credit's due, on the ProWrestling.net podcast with Jason Powell. Great guy. I enjoy his work. And he said, well, what if you have the multinational alliance win? What flag would have dropped then? What would you have had? I mean, 5 different nations of a flag blended into one. I mean, you had the USA flag drop where Rusev's flag used to from the rafters, and now what would have happened? What flag would they have dropped if the multinational alliance had won? So that's my thoughts on Raw. I'd give it a D+. It was barely acceptable. I would say it was a bad Raw. It was a averagely bad holiday show Raw. The only thing saving it was the John Cena AJ segment, and the women to some extent. Outside of that, it was a pretty much forgettable Raw. But you did have a couple of matches made on Raw for BattleGround, and that's always a good thing. And we'll have to see where next week leads, because we have 2 more Raws. 2 more Raws until the big day, the big pay-per-view, and we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting, and then leading into SummerSlam, which is really what we're all looking at, right? So, guys, thank you for joining me. You can follow me on Twitter at Matt's Madness, and you can go to my website, mattsmadness.com, where you can support the show, and you can check out Amazon, Inside the Cellar, Pro Wrestling Tees, all of that. If you do any shopping on there, just go through my links on my website under the Support the Show tab, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Also, onit.com. Go through my link there. Alpha Brain is an amazing product that they offer, and I highly recommend it. It is an all-natural supplement that really keeps you razor sharp and focused. It almost feels like you're cheating when you take it, because you just feel a lot smarter. I don't know how to describe it. It's just it doesn't increase your heart rate or anything like that. It's just an awesome product that I take. Kicks in quick, and it lasts for hours. So guys, thank you for joining me. You can catch me on Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, where you can get your advertisement on this show, where as you heard a couple of them today. You can check out my fitness gig, a bunch of other kind of odds and ends gigs on there as well. That link is on my Twitter profile, at Matt's Madness on Twitter. So thank you for the callers, Andrew in New Jersey and Justin Harvey, my good buddy, and definitely check out his show, The Justin Harvey Show, as well. So I'll be back later this week, Friday, with a fitness-only podcast where we get you motivated, get you to do what you need to do to get in shape and live a healthier life, and that's what we're going to do this Friday. And I'm going to try to line up some guests in the coming weeks. There's also a bigger announcement coming next week with the SmackDown going live. I'm going to be expanding my brand. It's kind of the Matt's Madness brand extension, if you will. I'm going to be doing a couple more shows, so more of my time is going to be dedicated to doing this, to talking to you guys, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. This is always a great way to just kind of escape from reality and talk about a product that really has no bearing on real life. It's just it's good stuff. We're all passionate about it, and if you're listening to this show, clearly you're passionate about it too, if you've made it this far in the show too. So, guys, thank you for joining me again. This was a blast, and I will catch you guys next time.